My dad said it's just a small reunion when I wasn't invited to my brother's engagement. I posted a selfie and my family exploded. Now I'm the black sheep for being happy without them. I, 28F, have always been the black sheep of my family. Not because I'm rebellious or difficult, but simply because I don't fit the mold they created. Last weekend, this reality hit harder than ever. It started with a casual scroll through social media on Friday night. There, splashed across my feed, were photos of my brother's engagement party, an event I knew nothing about. My stomach dropped as I recognized our family home decorated with string lights and flowers. My parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone was there, glasses raised in celebration. Everyone except me. Confused, I called my dad. "Hey, what's going on at the house? Looks like some kind of party." There was a pause before he answered. "Oh, that? It's just a small reunion for your brother and his fiancée. Nothing important." Nothing important? The elaborate decorations, catered food, and formal attire told a different story. When I pressed further, his tone shifted from casual to defensive. "Look, your brother wanted to keep it intimate. Just family and close friends." "I am family," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "You know what I mean," he replied. "Besides, you're always so busy with work. We didn't think you'd want to come." That excuse might have worked if they'd actually invited me and I'd declined. But they never gave me the choice. After hanging up, I sat in my apartment feeling hollow. This wasn't the first time I'd been excluded, but it stung more than usual. My brother and I weren't best friends, but we weren't enemies either. We simply existed in different orbits within the family constellation. Him as the golden child who followed the family's traditional path, me as the one who chose a different direction. In a moment of what I can only describe as quiet rebellion, I decided to go out. I put on my favorite dress, did my makeup, and headed to a new restaurant I'd been wanting to try. I asked the server to take a photo of me enjoying my meal alone, looking happy and unbothered. I posted it with a simple caption. "Sometimes the best company is your own." Treating myself to a beautiful evening. No mention of being excluded. No passive-aggressive hints. Just me living my life. Within hours, my phone exploded. First came the text from my mother. "Was that really necessary? You're making your brother's special day about you." Then my brother. "Way to be petty. Thanks for trying to steal my moment." Cousins, aunts, and even family friends I barely speak to started weighing in, accusing me of being attention-seeking and selfish. My dad's message was the most cutting. "This is exactly why you weren't invited. Always have to make everything about yourself." I was stunned. How had a simple photo of me enjoying dinner alone triggered such outrage? I hadn't mentioned the engagement party, or my exclusion from it. I hadn't complained publicly, or tried to sabotage anything. I'd simply shown myself having a nice evening. That's when it hit me, they felt guilty. My happiness, independent of their approval or inclusion, made them uncomfortable because it challenged their narrative about me. In their minds, I should have been home alone, devastated by their rejection. Instead, I was thriving without them, and that was unacceptable. The next morning, my phone continued to buzz with messages. My aunt called to mediate, though her idea of mediation was explaining why I should apologize for causing drama. My cousins sent screenshots of family group chats I wasn't part of, where they discussed how typical my behavior was. Through it all, I remained silent. What could I say? That I was hurt. They already knew that and didn't care. That I deserved to be included? They clearly disagreed. By Sunday evening, my brother's fiancée, whom I've met exactly twice, messaged me. "I hope you're happy. You've completely overshadowed our engagement announcement. Your brother is devastated." That was the breaking point. The engagement had been announced weeks ago on social media. The party was just a celebration. How could my single photo of a solo dinner possibly overshadow anything? I finally responded, not to defend myself but to ask a simple question. Why did my photo upset everyone so much? The answers were revealing. According to my mother, I was obviously trying to make a statement. My brother thought I was seeking sympathy. My dad believed I was trying to embarrass the family. None of them considered that I was just living my life, refusing to sit at home feeling sorry for myself because they'd excluded me. It's been 5 days now. The messages have slowed, but the damage is done. I've learned something important about my family. Their perception of me is so fixed that even my happiness is interpreted as an attack. I don't know where we go from here. Part of me wants to attend the wedding with a smile, pretending none of this happened. Another part wonders if it's time to create more distance, to protect myself from people who see the worst in my best intentions. For now, I'm focusing on the relationships that build me up rather than tear me down. And if that means being the black sheep, so be it. At least this sheep knows her worth. Am I wrong for posting that selfie? Should I have just accepted my exclusion quietly? Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since the selfie incident, and I wanted to update everyone who offered advice and support. First, thank you. Your perspectives helped me see that I wasn't crazy for feeling hurt, and that my response wasn't inappropriate or attention-seeking. After taking some time to process everything, I decided to have a one-on-one conversation with my brother. I suggested meeting for coffee at a neutral location, away from family influence. Surprisingly, he agreed. The conversation started awkwardly. We made small talk about work and the weather before I finally addressed the elephant in the room. I was hurt that I wasn't invited to your engagement party, I said simply. And I was confused by everyone's reaction to my dinner photo. He sighed and stared into his coffee for a moment. Look, it wasn't my decision to exclude you. Mom and Dad thought it would be better if you weren't there. Better for whom? I asked. For everyone, he replied, then hesitated. They were worried you'd bring up certain topics that would make people uncomfortable. It took some pressing, but eventually, he admitted what those certain topics were. Apparently, my parents were concerned I'd mention my recent promotion at work, a job they disapprove of because it's not the career path they wanted for me. They were also worried I'd talk about my recent trip abroad with friends, something they consider showing off, because no one else in the family travels much. Most absurdly, they were concerned about my appearance. My mother had told him that my alternative style, I have a small nose piercing and occasionally color my hair, would clash with the elegant atmosphere they wanted to create. So I was excluded because I might talk about my job, mention my vacation, and my nose ring might ruin your photos? I clarified. He had the decency to look embarrassed. When you put it that way, it sounds ridiculous. Because it is ridiculous, I said. The conversation shifted when I asked about the reaction to my photo. According to my brother, my mother had seen it and immediately assumed I was making a statement about being excluded. She showed everyone at the party, turning what should have been a celebration into a discussion about me and my attention-seeking behavior. But the photo had nothing to do with the party, I explained. I was just having dinner. I know that now, he admitted. But in the moment, with Mom upset and everyone talking about it, it seemed like you were trying to steal the spotlight. By the end of our coffee, we'd reached an understanding. He acknowledged that excluding me was wrong, and I assured him I had no intention of causing drama at his wedding or any other family event. He promised to talk to our parents, though he warned me not to expect an apology. You know how they are, he said, and unfortunately I do. The most surprising part came as we were leaving. He asked if I'd be willing to meet his fiancée for lunch sometime, just the two of us. She should get to know you for herself, he said, not through Mom's filter. I agreed, and we're meeting next week. As for my parents, I've decided to maintain some distance for now. I'm not cutting them off, but I'm not rushing to repair a relationship they don't seem interested in fixing. I'll attend family functions when invited, but I won't beg for inclusion or apologize for living my life on my terms. Some of you suggested family therapy, which is an excellent idea in theory. In practice, my parents don't believe in therapy and would never agree to it. They believe family matters should stay private, and seeking outside help would be admitting failure. For now, I'm focusing on building a stronger relationship with my brother and potentially his fiancée. Maybe with time they can help bridge the gap between me and my parents. Or maybe not. Either way, I'm at peace with my decision to live authentically, even if that means being the family outsider. Thank you again for all your support. It means more than you know to have people validate feelings my family has dismissed for years. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update, and a lot has changed. Some for the better, well, let's just say I've had to make some difficult decisions. First, the lunch with my brother's fiancée went surprisingly well. Without my parents' influence, she turned out to be warm and understanding. She shared that she'd noticed the family dynamic, but hadn't wanted to interfere. We've met for coffee several times since, and I'm cautiously optimistic about having an ally in the family. My brother and I have been rebuilding our relationship too. He's made efforts to include me in wedding planning, even asking me to help with some creative aspects since I work in design. It's been nice to feel valued for the skills my parents have always dismissed. Now for the more complicated part, my parents. After our coffee talk, my brother did speak to them as promised. Their response was predictable: denial, followed by deflection, followed by making themselves the victims. According to them, they were just trying to avoid drama by not inviting me, and my reaction proved them right. 2 weeks after that conversation, my mother called. I thought perhaps she was ready to apologize or at least acknowledge my feelings. Instead, she invited me to Sunday dinner with the condition that we put this nonsense behind us and move forward as a family. Translation: pretend it never happened. I declined, explaining that I couldn't simply pretend I wasn't hurt. I suggested we have an honest conversation first, just the two of us. There's nothing to discuss, she insisted. Either you want to be part of this family or you don't. That ultimatum made my decision clear. I told her I'd always want to be part of the family, but not at the cost of my self-respect. The call ended with her telling me to stop being so sensitive, and that the door would be open when I was ready to act like an adult. The following week, my father reached out. His approach was different, less confrontational, more manipulative. He reminisced about my childhood, talked about how much he missed me, and suggested that life is too short for grudges. When I pointed out that acknowledging hurt feelings isn't holding a grudge, he sighed and said, "Your mother is very upset about all this." Again, I was expected to set aside my feelings to manage theirs. The situation came to a head last weekend at my cousin's baby shower. It was the first family event I'd been invited to since the engagement party incident. I decided to attend, hoping that a public setting might encourage better behavior. I was wrong. My mother greeted me coldly, then proceeded to ignore me for most of the event. My father was overly cheerful, loudly telling anyone who would listen how wonderful it was that I could make time for family. The subtext was clear: I'm the one who chooses to be absent. The breaking point came during gift opening. My cousin loved the handmade baby blanket I'd spent weeks knitting. As she was thanking me, my mother interjected, "Well, when you don't have a family of your own to care for, you have plenty of time for hobbies." The room went silent. Even relatives who normally enable her behavior looked uncomfortable. In that moment, I realized something important. This pattern will never change unless I change my response to it. So I did something I've never done before. I stood up for myself publicly. "Actually," I said calmly, "I made that blanket during evenings after working 50-hour weeks at my job. The job that just promoted me again, by the way. I may not have the family life you think I should have, but I have a fulfilling life that I've built myself. And I'd appreciate it if you could respect that, even if you don't understand it." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I simply stated my truth, and then excused myself to get some air. Outside, my brother found me. "That was a long time coming," he said, and squeezed my hand. When I returned, several relatives approached me privately to express support. Some shared their own experiences with my parents' criticism. It seems I'm not the only one who's felt the sting of their disapproval, just the only one who's ever challenged it openly. Since the shower, I've made a decision. I'm taking a 6-month break from my parents. Not a dramatic cutoff, just a period of limited contact to focus on my own well-being. I've explained my decision to them in a calm, clear email, emphasizing that this isn't punishment but self-care. Their response was predictable. My mother hasn't acknowledged the email at all, while my father sent a brief message saying he respects my decision but hopes I'll reconsider before the holidays. The most surprising outcome has been the shift in extended family dynamics. Relatives who've always followed my parents' lead in how they treat me have started reaching out independently. It seems my small act of self-advocacy has disrupted the family system in unexpected ways. As for the wedding, I'll be attending. My brother and his fiancée have assured me that I'm not only welcome but wanted there. They've even asked me to do a reading during the ceremony, a meaningful inclusion that feels like a public acknowledgement of my place in the family. I don't know what the future holds for my relationship with my parents. I hope that with time and boundaries we might build something healthier. But I've accepted that it may never be what I wished for as a child. What I do know is that I'm no longer willing to make myself smaller to accommodate their limitations. And that, in itself, feels like progress. Thank you all for your continued support. It's made a world of difference knowing I'm not alone in this journey.